Hello again, everyone. We are here for some Legacy this time. This is the Jeskai Mentor deck that appeared at Star City Syracuse. Zach Allen made top 8 with the deck. Harlan Fear and one other person, I'm forgetting who it is right now, made top 16. They were the 3 people who worked on this deck. They were the 3 people that played the deck, and it put up 2 top 16s and a top 8. So that's a pretty good conversion rate. They're all powerful wizards, obviously, but this kind of deck is totally my speed in Legacy. And I like a Delver deck, don't get me wrong, but basic lands and I have a long, storied, very tight history together. I recently, when Prismatic Vista was printed, I cut all of the dual lands from my Miracles deck. I was playing 1 for a year and a half, 2 years before that, and I went to 0 since then. And I love basic lands. You don't need to sell me on that. So the last couple of videos I've done, they were all 4-color Delver and 4-color Control that play close. Delver is literally 0 basics, and the 4-color Control deck had 3. But our Delver videos, we saw ourselves losing to Blood Moon. We lost to Back to Basics. We lost to Wastelands out of other Delver decks. And this deck just doesn't have that problem. And I'm excited to try it. I don't think Miracles is great right now because the decks that it's great against are not super popular. Like Miracles crushes like Maverick and like Stoneblade and just these like fair middle of the road kind of decks. Miracles can be a little threat light or answer light against like the 4-color Delver deck. Like Wrenn and 6 really changed the equation. Like you used to be able to just mop up whatever you want with a Terminus. Like you can go to 1 life basically before you have to worry about losing. Terminus is always an out, but Wrenn and 6 just being a 2-mana Planeswalker out of the Delver decks is a huge threat to Miracles. So you need a different kind of take that can pressure a Planeswalker meaningfully. And this deck has 6 forces, 2 magmatic sinkholes that can clear out an enemy Planeswalker, and it's got 3 Monastery Mentor. And basically we're just trying to hit the gas, just get a little bit of breathing room, make a bunch of monks, and bury our opponent. And that's the whole plan. It can be a little dicey in Plague Engineer Legacy. Like Plague Engineer on Monk makes Monastery Mentor just a 1/1 prowess. But Narset should be able to take over Blue Mirrors. We have lots of removal. Teferi should buy a bunch of time. Teferi's really great in all the combo matchups too. So this is one of those decks that is not great against anything and not bad against anything. It's just like you could win every game with tight play and enough time. We also played against this deck in my last video when we were playing 4-color Delver, and it pretty much just systematically dismantled us, just one thing at a time. It had Rest in Peace to brick our Tarmogoyfs and Gurmag Anglers, Swords to Plowshares to clear out our Delvers, and Council's Judgments and Supreme Verdicts to clear out our True-Name Nemesis, and then you're just out of ways to win the game. It was pretty brutal, and like you have to dance around Back to Basics the whole time too, so I really like this deck's position against these greedy 4-color decks. Being able to play Back to Basics, 1 main, 1 on the board, is a big deal. I'm just a little worried about the combo matchups. Mostly Storm. Like Storm doesn't seem particularly winnable at all, honestly. We do have 6 forces, I guess, which come in. Harlan told me that the depths matchup is fine, and I'm willing to believe him. I'm going to test it, though it seems pretty rough on paper, but he's smart. I generally trust him. So let's run this, see what happens. All right, so we're on the draw here. We have 2 Brainstorms, and we're on the draw. It really sucks that our only land is a non-basic. We only play 2 of them, but these 2 Brainstorms plus being on the draw could save us. Like, if they're a Wasteland deck, we should mulligan, and if they're not, we should keep. But we don't know what they are yet, so I'm going to keep. and hope we don't die to Wasteland. Basic Mountain. My goodness. I'm going to play this Flooded Strand in case I need to fetch a basic in response to a Blood Moon. Like, Burn, Prison, and Goblins are the only cards that are only decks that play Basic Mountain. Okay, that's an easy one. I can just fetch Basic Plains and plow this thing. Maybe I should have waited till their turn to plow, because now their Ancient Tomb taps for 2 again, but... Ooh, Arkham's Astrolabe is very good against Blood Moon. Nice. Alright, and our basic lands are set up here. We're about to pivot into the 3-mana turn, where we get to stick Mentor or Teferi, or we could Council's Judgment something if we need to. I can just ignore Blood Moons at this point. Legion Warboss. So they get to make 1 goblin. I'm going to brainstorm and see if I can find a force to protect Mentor. Alright, I did not. Alright, so I can play Teferi and just bounce this thing. I guess I should bounce. Yeah, I just take my beats from the token. The token gets to kill Teferi. But I can play Mentor with... Oh, I could just Council's Judgment this thing away. That's probably a better plan. Yeah, I'm just going to judge the Warboss. And then Teferi can clean up the token. And I can play Mentor with Spell Pierce or Brainstorm up next turn. Ooh, they voted for the token. My opponent just learned how Council's Judgment works. That pretty much only happens on Magic Online, and I'm here for it. Alright, Reboss. That's fine. Mentor can embarrass Legion Warboss pretty powerfully. So basically, I'm going to jam Mentor. If they cast a spell, I'm going to Spell Pierce it. And if they don't, I'll just Brainstorm. But I love the blue-white matchups versus these red prison decks. Like, I'll play these all day. You get to ignore Blood Moon. You have tons of counter spells. You have better threats. You can remove any type of permanent. So whether they have like Chandra or Trinisphere, you can answer it. I first got into playing Miracles when the red Stompy deck first arrived on the scene back in the Grixis Delver with Deathrite Shaman days. Like, Grixis Delver struggled really hard against this deck, but Miracles crushed both. So I did very well with Miracles during that era. Alright, so I'm going to let them attack here. I don't want to just lose to some messed up permanent second main if I like Brainstorm now to try to blow them out in combat. Like if I get a few spells off, we'll be fine and I can absorb this 4 damage no problem. Alright, well, can't counter that one. So I could play Teferi next turn, bounce something, and still hold up Brainstorm and Spell Pierce. That sounds pretty good. It was smart to second main this. Like to main phase it would give me all the information I need to work around it. All right, now we're going to Mentor Town. And drawing Force of Will is obviously just bananas. All right, now we have a fetch land to go with this Brainstorm. All right, so if I attack, I lose to Fairy. All right, I'm just not going to attack because I have the Brainstorm and the Spell Pierce and the Force. So we know they have the Legion War Boss. Let's see if they jam it pre-combat. All right, they did not. Should be able to eat all their creatures this turn at basically no cost to myself. I guess they get to keep one token around. And if we draw like Swords of Plowshares or something, we just get to go nuts. Okay, so I'm not actually going to need this land, so I'll hide it and I'll put the Ponder on top. Yeah, that makes sense. Then I'll line up all of the obvious blocks. These are all attacking me. I'm just going to actually take 2 from this goblin and keep this monk around. Because we know they have a follow-up war boss coming. Cast Chandra or Fiery Confluence. Give me something to Spell Pierce. That's what I'm looking for here. Nice. Squeaky clean right there. Then we get to untap with Hardcast Force available against their 2/2 creature. I could also just crank out. I think we might have lethal. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on lock. If Ponder and Brainstorm find even one more spell, we win. Yeah. That is definitely worth going for. Especially with Teferi hanging out here. We know they can't respond, even though they don't actually play instants anyway. I could also just force my Brainstorm if this doesn't go anywhere. Alright, they scooped it up. Yeah, Mentor is a much more powerful creature than Legion War Boss. Alright, so in the board we get a Braid, Hydroblast. Wow, Hydroblast is good. Palace Jailer, they can basically never beat. Wear Tear is good. And Celestial Purge is good. Supreme Verdict also an option. So back to basics, I'm not in love with. Though sometimes you can just get them with back to basics. Because they do play a lot of non-basics. What is less good? I'm not in love with Arkham's Astrolabe against the Chalice of the Void deck. Spell Pierce is great. Swords to Plowshares, they showed us Legion War Boss, which I think is a worse card than Rabblemaster, which means they probably have all 8 goblins in their deck. Sinkhole can kill a goblin or a Chandra, but so can Hydroblast or Celestial Purge. All right, maybe I don't want both Supreme Verdicts. Maybe I don't want both Palace Jailers, and I do want both Verdicts. Teferi doesn't do a whole lot against them. It lets me cast my sorceries as instants, I guess, which is not irrelevant. Alright, maybe I'm just off sinkholes. Swords to Plowshares are here for that. I'll play one Verdict. And I gotta cut one more card here. This is pretty tight actually. I have all my Miracle sideboards mapped out in my brain pretty easily, but this is a different deck, obviously. Teferi clearing out. Alright, maybe it's Jace. Alright, on the draw, I'll cut a Jace. I might bring it back in on the play. We'll see. Hopefully we're not going to get a play. Because you just want every counterspell and removal spell that your deck plays. Oh, this is so close. There's a Force of Will and a Mentor. I'm going to keep this. We can ignore Blood Moon. We can ignore Chalice. Thorn of Amethyst is a powerful spell, but we can ignore that too. Alright, was not looking for another land there. Yeah, the best thing they can do is jam a creature here. There's a creature. So I don't think I can beat this thing as it is. Alright, now we're pretty close to Hellbent here. Alright, there's a thing we can do at least. The good news is we've hit our first two land drops, which means they can't lock us out with Blood Moon anymore. Now they have to clock us. Alright, Chalice on one. The ship sailed for that. Not worried about that one. Ooh, they don't have a land drop either. They might be getting punished by that Thorn over there themselves. I'm going to fetch... I have a lot of important double white cards. I imagine they boarded out most of their moon effects. I'm just thinking, like, on the small chance that they do cast a moon effect, would I rather definitely cast Narset next turn or definitely cast one of my double white spells if I draw them? I have the Narset now, so I'll just play for what I have. The cool thing is they probably can't Fiery Confluence next turn because of their own Thorn. Yeah, this does not make red, notably. If they have a Spirit Guide, they could probably cast something powerful right now, but Chandra, Fiery Confluence, all of those cards cost double red. This is a Chalice on 2. It sure is. Okay, you got it, opponent. I will continue with my 3 drops. And I'm definitely getting the basic planes now, in case we get mooned. Same conversation we had last turn, except now I'm just totally safe. Though they should have boarded their Blood Moons out anyway. But people don't always do what they should have done. Celestial Purge and Hydroblast, both pretty embarrassing here. Hydroblast can grow my monks at least. Let's go. And they're already at 9. They've tapped City of Traders every turn of this game. They're probably going to have to keep tapping it too, unless they draw exactly some kind of goblin. Okay, they're accessing their double red here. This could be a confluence. which will put them to 7. They had to pitch Chandra to Chrome Mox. That's pretty nice. Like this matchup that we're playing, is basically the nightmare for the 4-color Delver decks, and I'm very glad my deck's full of basics instead of not full of basics. Yeah, Confluence is really good here, clearing out my threats. Or whatever, you know. Force of Negation and Force of Will. I'll take Negation because it's more castable if they don't just kill me this turn. Like, if I don't have to use it this turn, I'd rather pay 3 for it than 5 on the next turn. And this Mentor has 2 things that can trigger it. They don't have to resolve to trigger it. Ensnaring Bridge. I'm pretty sure I have to counter that. Like, I don't have to, but with them at 7 life with 1 card in their hand, I definitely want to. If I draw any spell, they lose. That'll do. So now I can attack for 7. And they're dead. Pretty easy game when you have basic lands against the Red Prison. Alright, it's round 2. We're paired against Joe Lissette, who also likes blue-white decks. I'm going to keep this handful of Spell Pierces and a Ponder. It's likely that this is the mirror. I'm not going to cast Ponder just in case he does something like counterbalance this turn. The mirror obviously wouldn't have counterbalance, but if Joe's over there doing miracle stuff, he will have it. I would also Spell Pierce a Ponder here. Let's see if he wants to Spell Pierce my Ponder. Nope. Alright, cool. Council Judgment, Sinkhole, Brainstorm. I want Brainstorm, but I don't want these other cards. So I'm going to give this a shuffle. I'm going to play out the basic instead of the Tundra because I don't have any white cards to cast anyway. There's nothing to bluff here. And in case he does have back to basics, the only thing worse than losing to back to basics with your mono no basics deck is losing to back to basics with your mostly basics deck. So I'm not going to play into it. But I hope this is a Narset that I can pierce. Alright. Yeah, if that was Mentor, it would have just resolved, obviously. But since it was not Mentor, I get to counter it instead. So I could play Astrolabe and hold up Spell Pierce, or I can play Plains and hold up Snapcaster Spell Pierce. I'm going to do that. We're in a ton of trouble to a Mentor if he just jams. Okay, he's doing his wizard deck that he enjoys. It's a pretty cool deck, and it's probably a bad matchup. So I could snap Ponder here. I think I want to do that. I got to get something going, and I'm not going to hang this Mentor out into easy removal. So the wizard deck that Joe plays is kind of similar to the Jeskai Mentor deck, but it's full of wizards. Yeah, it's full of creatures that have some sort of powerful effect, and many of them are legends. So bouncing Ponder there is just a hard counter because I played it out of my graveyard, and that's how flashback works. So if he can bounce and cast Venser every turn for the rest of the game, that could just lock out the first spell we play. Deck is also really resilient against Spell Pierce because so many of its cards are creatures. Ugh, he's got his own Spell Pierce here. Having the first Jace is a big deal because he gets to brainstorm to find an answer to my Jace before I get to activate Jace. These blue-white mirrors do tend to spiral out of control when one player gets to shove a Jace. It's usually the trump. Like even if they activate it twice and then I answer it, that they're still up 2 cards with a lot of selection built in. All right, so you're saying there's a chance. Ooh, Sinkhole is a big game. Not really though, because I have not filled my graveyard. So I can... Next turn I can play Mentor with 2 Astrolabes. I'm going to tuck this backup Jace on top. Just in case. I'm going to attack his Jace because if he wants to trade here, then he loses his Caracas loop. But he knows better. He's not going to trade here. If I can sinkhole this Jace, I'll suddenly be ahead. But I gotta remember that he can Caracas and Venser in response. So basically it's a 5 mana counterspell as many times as he wants until I can break this up. No, what is this red mana? You don't have a main deck Red Blast, you maniac. Oh, that's his sinkhole. Yeah, sure. My hole's been sunk. That's why I haven't shuffled yet. Kept the backup Jace at the ready. He's choosing to brainstorm, leaving Jace at 1. Which is probably fine. It'll basically come down to, like, can you remove Snapcaster Mage? Because I don't have Lightning Bolt. I do have Sinkhole. He can't get it above 5. So if I have Sinkhole and he can't counter it, that just is. Did not attack. That's pretty interesting. So do I want this Astrolabe, I guess is the question. Because I'm going to have to fetch this turn to cast Sinkhole anyway. Oh wait, no, I have Astrolabe, so I don't have to. Can I sequence this so I can still have Jace and do everything I need to do this turn? So I draw Astrolabe, I cast it. I have 4 mana left. I fetch, that makes 4 cards in my graveyard, and then I can Sinkhole for 2 mana, but then I can't hold anything up. I think I'm just going to fetch this away. That should give me enough mana to do what I want to do. Attack Jace the Mind Sculptor. So I'm going to attack Jace. I think he's going to block, then bounce. In response to the bounce, I'm going to Sinkhole Jace with Spell Pierce backup. Oh wait, I can't have Spell Pierce backup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have to exile the Spell Pierce. Bummer. We've miscalculated. This is so the Sinkhole can't get ventured. Alright. We cleared the Jace. The first one anyway. There's probably more coming. There always are. The next turn we can Mentor with Spell Pierce back up. Oh, JK. No, we can't. Mentor's going away. Vendilion Click, also a wizard and a legend. So Cavern of Souls can cast it. Karakas can bounce it. We haven't seen a Cavern yet. Pretty sure we died a Cavern. But back to basics. Can turn off this loop. He's deciding who to target with Vendilion Click. So if he's got a dead card over there, he might be highly incentivized to get rid of it. Alright, he is targeting himself. Yep, getting rid of Spell Snare. That's interesting. I've already shown him a Snapcaster Mage. He must be looking for... because he already has lots of pressure. Just looking for short answers. That's a good one. So I can attack first. Then I can cast Teferi twice this turn. Or cast it once with Spell Pierce backup. But I can't Spell Pierce Venser, obviously. But the whole Karakas Flash Wizard combo, the whole point is to cast instants. And Teferi denies that. Please hardcast a Force of Will. Don't hardcast a Force of Negation. I didn't lead on Mentor because I think he would have just ventured that, and then I'm way behind. Maybe Snapcaster wasn't supposed to attack. If this resolves, I think I just bounce my Snapcaster, try to get a little deeper. Because I'm losing Teferi regardless. Oh, he saw the line. Okay, so... plussing it doesn't do anything, so I might as well minus. Is not seen my hand yet. Don't really want him to. Though, bouncing Vendilion Click does let me snap Sinkhole the Venser. I don't know. He's just like half a step ahead of me this game. We're so close to complete stability, but if you don't have complete stability, you have nothing. So just having 2 creatures in play, the turn I went for Teferi was really good. I think if I had drawn a Swords to Plowshares at any point in this game, I would just be easily winning. Vendilion Click. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can hard cast Force of Will right now. Seems like a good idea. Can't spell pierce this. Could force back, but I don't know if he wants to. I'm not going to play out my Mentor because I would really hate for it to just die to a Swords to Plowshares for no value. I want to at least leave a Monk behind, at least challenge him a little bit. Back to basics would be a deceptively powerful draw. It's like this. It seems silly, but Venser plus Caracas is actually just brutal. This is another click, you monster. Alright, so what can I do about this click? I can brainstorm in response. Guess that's the answer. Try to hide my Mentor at least. Okay, there's some cards. I should have put Vista on top so I could hit my land drop this turn. Oh, that was the draw step anyway. Never mind. Now that I have an instant in my graveyard, I could ambush Viper with Snapcaster Mage for value. And I can hardcast Force of Will. Like, if he has to bounce Venser to fight over this Force, I have a blue card to pitch to Force. So he could bounce Venser here and answer the token. That's basically free. Like, there's no counter spell I could have that counters Venser here. So he's just got to decide, would he rather keep Monk or Mentor out of play for a turn, don't let me untap with Mentor, or clear the token? Yeah, clearing the token. Makes perfect sense. That's what I would do. Because now he could snap Plow or just Plow or Council's Judgment, clear the Mentor, leaving no residuals. Wow, no attack. Interesting. He values Venser more than he values offering the trade with my Mentor. Alright, I'm just going to hold. Because this Snapcaster... Snap Magmatic Sinkhole could bust all this up. He did not shuffle off that Ponder, which is suspicious. Like, no shuffle, no play. I can snap Force of Will. That's pretty sweet. I actually can't snap Force of Will. I can, but then he doesn't get the Plow. Oh no, did he find that Spell Snare buried? Alright, we probably just lose now. I needed that Snapcaster to work. I don't have a way in the main deck to break all this up. Targeted Ponder again instead of Plow. Must not be scared or just already have a Plow lined up. Yep. It's kind of crazy. I think I have to board in back to basics against this deck, even though it's primarily basic lands. I'm just going to take 2 from the Snapcaster for a while, see if I can make something happen with this sinkhole. If I find another Mentor, I could still just cheese. He's probably going to bounce Snapcaster here. Which I can never beat, so I'm going to sink it. These lands are killing me. It's nice we got Venser back out of his hand for no value, though. Alright, it got a card out of my hand. It's not no value, but... He's definitely miles ahead here. Those cards in hand are all scary. I need to find multiple answers to Venser, because if I try to plow it now, he just Caracases it, and that's totally free. Like, I need to brainstorm into something nutty. I'd be willing to bet his deck has multiple spell snares in it too. That card is really good right now. And his deck is exactly the type that would want it. Brainstorm. Alright. It's another look for a Brainstorm. Oh, good. Just what I was looking for. I think this Venser has done like 14 damage this game. You can hard cast Force back, still leaving up Caracas. This is brutal stuff. Ooh, a window. Hope this works. Alright, he had the Force of Will, so we are just deceased here. Venser gets to bounce my Force, then his Snapcaster resolves. Alright. I'll let him have his fun. Alright, bouncing your own Snapcaster makes more sense. The old remand trick, remanding your own spell. Right on time. I'm not going to cast this Force of Negation no matter what my opponent does, because I don't want him to know that that's a card that I have. But this game is over. Alright, in the sideboard, I definitely want Pyroblast. I don't think I can afford Jailers against this stack. Because all of his creatures have flash. Like, losing the Monarch is unacceptable. A Braid's probably good, just picking off the creatures. I think I need this back to basics, too. Sinkhole's good. Spell Pierce, and he showed me Teferi and Jace, so Spell Pierce probably still has some play. It's tough because it's got lots of powerful spells, but also lots of powerful creatures, which is basically the entire point of the deck he's chosen to play. Maybe less Force of Negation, because that's a 2-for-1 or a 1-for-2 in the wrong direction, and it's going to go after the same spells that Spell Pierce does. Especially on the play, I like Spell Pierce better. Council's Judgment's kind of a clunker. When we have Sinkhole that can answer Planeswalkers, not super worried about having to answer a Jace. I gotta cut one more card here. Maybe it's just an Astrolabe. Like, he's not gonna mess with my mana, and I have mountains. Though Astrolabe does help me get Pyroblast online early. But I think this is fine. Yeah, also cutting Force of Negation, because on the play we want to be kind of a tap-out control deck, like jam Narset, jam Teferi, jam Jace, jam Mentor, and Force of Negation does not help me in those situations. I'm going to keep this. I wish it had 2 lands, but it does have 2 Brainstorms. My opponent did show me red mana in game 1 also, so you got to assume he's got Pyroblast over there. Alright, best draw in my whole deck is a land. One that produces blue, to be specific. Come on, land that makes blue. Force of Will. Bummer. Let's see if he smells blood. This would be a brutal Spell Pierce. Ugh. So I could force this. I think I have to. That was such a good exchange for him. Missing that land drop's really nasty. Alright, so I'm going to tuck away this plow for now. I'm going to leave this Brainstorm on top. Or Plains on top. I'll leave Plains on top. There's no plateau in this deck, so I'm going to have to fetch a red source and a white source on separate occasions. So I might just want to keep that Plains on top. And I just had to 2-for-1 myself to hit my second land drop, so I'm going to keep my third land drop when I know it's there. I'm saving my Pyroblast for a threat, something that will actually kill me. Not going to fire it off on a random Ponder on turn 3. So I don't want to draw Swords to Plowshares right now. I do want to hit my land drops. Getting the Valk there definitely shows that I have some sort of red card. He should definitely expect Pyroblast at this point. He should not expect back to basics at this point, though. So I'm going to put back a Braid and back to basics. Now that I've pitched a back to basics to Force of Will already and fetched a non-basic, he might fetch deep going for non-basics. Or not. So I could also just fetch this away now that we've seen more basics. You could just fetch a third. I'm only really threatening the Tundra. I haven't seen a Caracas yet. Okay, now we got something to play for. And shove this Narset. We can back it up with Pyroblast. Though it looks like he's got his own Pyroblast. It's alright, we have a second Narset on top. Let's go. Please resolve. Yeah, let's bin this Venser. Get out of here. We even have a Spell Pierce if they have another thing. I mean, Flusterstorm would get me here, but Spell Pierce is fine. Blue Blast is fine. Okay. Alright, do you have another one? Are your last two cards Force Blue card? Alright, good. We got a chance. I'm going to take the Force of Will over the Sinkhole here. Because if their last card kills Narset, I think it's worth the 2-for-1 to protect Narset here. Because Narset bricks so many of the cards in his deck. Oh yeah, that one is definitely forcible. It's possible I'm just not even worried about that with Narset in play, but still, I'd rather answer a Jace if I can. Alright, Trips, Swords to Plowshares. We're all set on those. And I can snap Pyroblast. Or snap Brainstorm, depending on how this plays out. Alright, now Brainstorm just got better. Say Vendilion Click. Right, click resolves. They are targeting themselves. Just kill this thing in response. Bottom to Ponder. Yep, that makes sense. I'm not going to jam Snapcaster into Hardcast Force of Will. That's too easy. Teferi, Time Raveler. I'm going to force this to play around Spell Snare that he showed me. Alright, that's fine. Couldn't play around both things. I chose to play around the snare. I can still Pyroblast this Teferi. That's a card that exists. I could also just cast Brainstorm and see what happens. As long as Narset's in play, I don't care a whole lot about Teferi. I guess them being able to ponder on my turn through my Narset's kind of a beating. So I'm going to look for the other Pyroblast right now. I'm off this back to basics plan. It probably wasn't even a good plan. I should board it out. Oh, Sinkhole. And a Teferi of my own. Alright, that's fine. It's a trade I can live with. Alright, didn't slam anything unbeatable there. Can I slam something unbeatable? And basically every counterspell hits this. Disenchant in response. That's really smart, because that's definitely what I was going to target. My top card is Snapcaster Mage, so I'm just going to plus Teferi this turn, and then next turn I can draw the Snap and go to Value Town. Alright, now we should be able to take this over. And by plussing Teferi, I could even Snap Ponder in his end step. Then attack and bounce. And he conceded. Yep, he sees the writing on the wall. Just like he had the Karakas Venser lock last game, now we have Teferi Narset lock. Alright, he showed he brought in Disenchant. Which means I definitely don't want these back to basics. Like the last thing I'm thinking about is if I want Palace Jailer or not. Like if they have Karakas, it's so bad. But if they don't, it's totally fine. See, I could bring the Judgment in this spot also. But I have 7 spot removal spells right now. Maybe 1 Jailer is good. Like if it ever sticks, we're just going completely ham. And I don't have to play it if it's bad. Alright. Let's do this. I'm glad I got to show him back to basics last game, and he showed me Disenchant. Because now I know to take my back to basics out for sure. And hopefully we can just strand that Disenchant forever. Like these mirrors usually come down to whose cards are more playable. Like who draws more playable, situationally appropriate cards at the right times than the opponent. Because, like, there's the critical Venser turn versus the critical Narset turn. And can you break it up, or are you under this powerhouse engine? All right, hopefully playing Volcanic Island isn't too big of a tell. Maybe that's just my first land drop. I don't think he's going to cast any spells this turn. Interesting. Is he suddenly a Stoneforge Mystic deck? That would be a bummer. Oh no, just repondering. That's fine. It is awkward that the Volcanic Island is in play already. So if I go to Brainstorm and they try to counter it, I can't really counter back meaningfully, because my only fetchable red source is in play. I'm going to play around Spell Pierce. Like, as long as I'm making land drops here, life is good. A lot of the times these end up in, like, who blinks first situations. Like, whoever taps mana on their turn first is probably going to lose on the following turn. They're going to lose that exchange, then the opponent's going to slam some giant thing. Though, next turn, if I can play Narset with Pyroblast and Force backup, I probably just will. Maybe I'll test with a Brainstorm now, see what he wants to do about that. Nothing. Okay. So, Astrolabe and Mentor are not important parts of this plan. Though I could play Mentor this turn instead of Narset, because Mentor doesn't get red blasted or spell pierced. Narset is targetable by both of those cards. So I'll put back Astrolabe and Snapcaster. Yeah, I can just draw the Snapcaster. Alright, and now I have double force backup. Might just click in response here if he's worried about what I'm about to slam. Like, if he can't counter a Jace and he does have click, now this fetch land on the stack is his time to try to answer that. Yeah, alright. Counter target blue spell. Alright, he's left up Pyroblast. Could have left up white, but he left up red instead. Alright, so I got 2 Force of Wills here. Might be able to turn the corner very quickly. Mentor is a lot better than basically every other creature that exists. Spell Pierce is my first pitch, and hopefully I won't have to pitch 2 things. And if this is Supreme Verdict, it's just going to resolve. This Red Blast is still going to be a problem. But I'll just Force, then jam Narset. Wow, just didn't even have it. Fake news. Alright, cool. So I'm definitely just jamming Narset. I still have Force of Will. Oh, did have it, just didn't want to play it on the last thing. I'm going to get hyper aggressive here. I think it's worth doing. Like, really, it's just Supreme Verdict or bust at this point from my opponent. Alright, Swords is not what I wanted. I'm glad all those lands are on the bottom, though. So he's likely dead to combat next turn unless he can do something about this. Yeah, that'll do. Alright, we still have Narset and Snapcaster. And Teferi. Oh, the 4-pointer. I'm going to take Pyroblast because that can protect my Teferi right now. And then we can just go nuts with Teferi and Snapcaster next turn. Alright, if he just has a second Pyroblast in hand, he can answer one of these Planeswalkers, but if he has to snap it, I can just counter that. I can't stop a sinkhole if that's what's happening here. Don't want him to have a Narset. Cool. I'm going to snap Brainstorm in the end step or snap Pyroblast if necessary. Then attack for 2, bounce my snap, draw a card. Like, the end game is pretty well mapped out here. Sorry, fella. Can I get a scoop here? I guess if he has Plow, he can keep playing. Alright. And Jace also. Just the gang's all here. Yep. So these blue-white mirrors can definitely just cascade into a parade of card advantage. Planeswalker-based card advantage. Not sure what reasonable play would get him out of this. Ooh, Elspeth Sun's Champion. That's a big creature, or a big threat. It dies to Sinkhole, just like everything else. I can shuffle away a land, and I don't need these 2 plows. I kind of like the backup to Fairy. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's the right way to cast that. Alright, you can clear Narset here. That's kind of brutal. Elspeth is a serious monster, in case you were wondering. Alright, so he knows about Snapcaster. He knows about Plow too, so... Ooh, diversifying his bonds. Alright, so he knows that if I snap Plow, then I don't get to get any value off Snapcaster. Alright, I'm gonna let this happen. Like, I do just want to snap Brainstorm at the end of this turn. I still have Teferi. I do have to watch my clock, though. We're both in the red here. My top card is Swords to Plowshares. I don't want that particularly. This looks like a sinkhole coming. Get rid of this extra Teferi. Oh no, there's more spells. Powerful stuff. Alright, so I'm going to Brainstorm in response and hope to hit Force Blue card pretty much. I didn't get there. Put these two back. Alright, Jace is dead. Navigated that one. Get in there. Pick you up, get an extra card. I'm going to brainstorm now so I can map this out a little better. Don't need the second land, and I think a braid is not what I want anymore. So I can answer all of these soldiers. They're all coming at Teferi. I think I just want to plow this third one. Just plow, plow, plow. Leave my threat in play. He only has the card he drew this turn in his hand. Is it a good one? Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Chose to shuffle. That's good. Let's find the other Narset. Alright, I would also accept a Monastery Mentor. I'm going to offer this trade because I want Mentor to just clear the way. I'm going to block and cast the Brainstorm. And I plus Teferi so I can cast any Ponders I draw. Alright, we got it. That was a scrappy blue mid-range mirror. That was pretty awesome. Monastery Mentor flexing its power. And he did a pretty good job working through that Planeswalker triumvirate I had. But he had quite a mighty Planeswalker of his own. That was a sweet match. Alright, so we're back for round 3. This is kind of a regrettable opening hand. It has 3 lands, 2 threats, 2 removal spells, but no cantrips, no counter spells. If this is a Fair Blue Mirror or like Delver, it's a great hand. If it's any combo deck, we're just dead. We can't even protect or capitalize on the Mentor if we cast it turn 3. So, alright, this hand is way better. I'm going to keep this. Never be afraid of 6, especially in the London Mulligan world. Like, don't keep a bad hand. Alright, I'm going to bottom this Council's Judgment, because it is the most expensive thing with the least likely to be relevant. Alright, my opponent's also on 6. Set up this perfect mana right away. Alright, if this is Chalice... Oh, Grim Monolith? Yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to force that either. Good news, folks. We found a matchup where back to basics is bananas. I'm not going to brainstorm yet because I don't know if I'm going to need a Spell Pierce or a Swords to Plowshares or what they're up to over there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm glad I have Force of Will in my hand. Jeez. Alright, we're going to brainstorm in this end step. Alright, so I don't need all these Astrolabes. I'm going to jam Mentor because that's the one that can kill an like crazy power deck. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They could cast Ulamog this turn. Now they can definitely cast Ulamog this turn. And I'm going to force it if they do. I just hope they don't, because it'll eat the Mentor and one of my lands. There is the Ulamog. I'm going to force pitching. Definitely forcing. Just got to decide which of these things is more powerful. It's probably Snapcaster Mage. Though Narset can draw me more things. Snapcaster can pressure though, so I'm going to force this. Get a Monk. It's nice that we had a threat big enough that they had to eat it with Ulamog and they weren't able to just hit 2 lands. Okay, cool. Ponder plus Astrolabe. You're going to get to see a lot of cards this turn. Might even get to a point in the game where it matters. Ponder again. I will keep the Ponder again. And I can just keep fetching basics because I have these 2 Astrolabes. Shuffle this up. Alright, if they have any reasonable follow-up here, we're dead. They're going to have 6 mana and they take 4 to use it. I do like this type of matchup with blue-white though. And with back to basics in your deck, you can just shut them down if they don't overpower you before you do anything. Jace the Mind Sculptor. That's usually a pretty good card. I'm looking for exactly back to basics though. Alright. I will cast Narset. I'm going to keep this Jace in hand for next turn. So they can't activate Eye right now. That costs 7. They can untap one of their Grim Monoliths at the cost of 2 life. Yes, Force of Will is exactly what we were looking for there. So this puts them to 7. Tapping their Tomb to untap a Monolith puts them to 5. And this is going to be a close one. We'll see what their last payoff is. Because this is the last spell they're going to cast this game. They're activating Eye. Nope. That's probably not going to end up where you want it to. Oh, they had another city. Now they're activating Eye. So they can get something that costs 6 or less. They're probably going to get Ballista and cast it for 2. But then they die to my Force of Will. Unless there's some crazy colorless creature I don't know about. I guess they could get Endless One and just make a 2/2. Okay, so they go to 1. I Force of Will, then attack for 1. Or they pass the turn and just hope I can't cast any spells. Spell Pierce not helpful. Teferi is kind of a good one. No, Spell Pierce is helpful because I can still cast Force of Will. Yeah, so I can cast Jace and Force of Will. And another force. Alright, so they can only tap one Ancient Tomb. Jace can bounce the Thought-Knot Seer. If I took the Astrolabe, they could just be at 2. Alright, so if I fight over this, what do I care about? I could force this, pitching Force of Negation. I'm going to let them have this. I can just bounce it with Jace. And if they were going to follow up with any sort of non-creature spell, I don't know. Maybe I'm supposed to force there. So I bounce this, I draw an extra card. Alright, let's ponder for lethal. So I can ponder, spell pierce, Force of Negation. I guess I didn't need to do the force. It was already a 4/4. I'm just here to smash. So if they don't have Dismember, I guess. That punishes pretty hard. I guess they can't even cast it. That doesn't matter. Alright, yeah. That was pretty safe to do. Just flexed a little bit by accident. Alright, so back to basics comes right in. Sinkhole's very good. Force of Will's great. Force of Negation is medium. Or on the draw, I like Force of Negation because they are a Chalice of the Void deck. I'm going to cut the Spell Pierces, though. Wear Tear, Abrade. I kind of like Palace Jailer. Like, they don't have... I guess Reality Smasher is the only way they could surprise me with damage. Supreme Verdict. Supreme Verdict is a tough one because sometimes they have Smashers and Endbringers, and sometimes they have Ugin and other messed up things like that that Supreme Verdict is not good against. So Supreme Verdict's a maybe. I like all the artifact removal. Teferi does very little in this matchup. No, I lied. Casting Council Judgment as an instant is kind of big. I can still cut one. Jace can take over these games, but I think Mentor is a better plan overall. And Palace Jailer is basically Jace. What I mean by that is it's a 4-mana spell that will win the game on an empty board and just draw a card, then die on a busy board. Could probably cut an Astrolabe. I need the plows, need all my cantrips, need my removal. So I could go down to 1 Force of Negation. Alright, let's do it. I'm not going to keep this 0-lander. I'm going to snap keep this 3-lander. I'm going to bottom one of the lands. This hand is super soft to a turn 1 Sorcerer Spyglass, but I just have to hope that doesn't happen. Between Astrolabe and Snapcaster Mage, I think drawing another land is a reasonable expectation. Rather than mulling the mentor and hoping to find another threat. Alright, we got there on the lands. So even if they have turn 2 Thought Knot, they're going to have to take back to basics just so they don't die. But Mentor is also a serious problem, and Sinkhole clears their creature. Yeah, just have to take back to basics. It is not a choice. There's the Force of Will just in time. That's fine, though. I can, if they try to follow up the Thought Knot with something crazy right now, I can just force it. If they don't have something crazy, I'll jam Mentor and protect it with Force. I can only make 4 mana right now, including the Delve, so I can't sink this thing's hole yet. Thran Dynamo. Alright, I'm not going to fight over that. Ooh, Thought Knot. I guess I have to fight over this. Ooh. Wear Tear is interesting. I could tear up this Dynamo. And I'm 1 short of killing Thought Knot. I could just jam Mentor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a lot of mana. But what am I even doing if I don't have Mentor in play? Alright, I'm going to get Mentor into play now. I could just die. Like, they definitely had a very good hand with the double Thought Knots to check what I'm doing. And being on the draw, of course, was tough. Sorcerer's Spyglass. Alright, it's too late for that. I told you it was coming in, though. I'm glad we cleared those Prismatic Omens. So, yeah, they named Narset, okay. I think the names are either Narset or Flooded Strand. Because my deck has Prismatic Vista in it, that probably means I'm maxed out on the on-color fetches too. Ballista for 3. Lame. Yeah, this hand lined up pretty well, even with them just discarding this card. Still worked out well for them. So if I draw a land, I can kill both of these creatures. Or a fetch land specifically. A land that makes red, I guess. I could have fetched smarter last turn and just not had to deal with that, I guess. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so I'm going to kill the Thought Knot Seer. And hope to draw something good. If I draw a land that makes red, I can kill the Thran Dynamo. Never punished. They have 2 cards in hand. They're at 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. They still have a lot of mana over there. Re-Dynamo. This Ballista is going to start getting large. Alright, so I'm going to cast a Fairy. Bounce the Chalice, cast Ponder, and hope that's good. Alright, Force of Will and Mentor are both good cards. Or Mentor is Marge, actually. Mentor is Marge until I clear the Ballista. Then Mentor's great. So, just hope that they brick a draw step here. Then I can snap Wear Tear on the Ballista. Oh no, I'm just dead. Never mind. They attack me for a bunch and then zap me for a bunch. My opponent saw the line and revealed their hand of 2 Chalice of the Voids. Okay. So, how do things change on the play? I mean, everything gets better on the play, that's for sure. I'm not convinced on Teferi. Or, I like having one. I suspect, based on seeing Cloud Posts in their deck, that they don't have Reality Smashers. Usually Smasher is more in the Eldrazi Stompy deck. Alright, if I want Jace, how is it fitting in? Spell Pierce could come in. That's good at hitting Chalices or early Thran Dynamos. But what do I have to cut? I think I have to cut the Astrolabes to get there. I'm not even convinced that's good. That's even a plan I want to be part of. Because the Thought-Knot Seer is their scariest card they can cast early. And Chalice is annoying, but we have outs, and we can play through it in a lot of cases. How do I minimize getting hit by Thought-Knot Seer? I think just Force of Will is all I got, really. Unless the aggressively Spell Piercing to keep them off Thran Dynamos and Grim Monoliths could also be a plan. But then what am I cutting? Maybe it is just Astrolabe and Plow's really good. I guess Plow's only good if they don't have Chalice, though. Though Plow is really good. I'm going to cut the Supreme Verdict. They did not really show me a plan where they're having many creatures in play at once, and my plan is Mentor. Like, Mentor just is plan A, B, and C. One lander with Astrolabe and Brainstorm. I'm going to keep this. This is the only Astrolabe left in my deck. I'm going to jam it into play. Try to get ahead of this Chalice. Alright, I hope they just don't play Chalice. Okay, good. They didn't play Chalice. I didn't want to have to force it. Alright, so I can Brainstorm and then Ponder. Or I could just hold up End Step Wear if they play some kind of artifact. Grim Monolith. Okay. I think I want to just wear that. Alright, so I'm going to get... Oh, this land can't get plains. Okay. So I'm going to get the Tundra. Just because I have these white cards in hand and red cards I want to cast. Let's just smash that. I don't want to get turn 2 Thought-Knotted here. Great. Alright, they got me. Their hand was just very, very, very good. I'm going to pitch Brainstorm because I just want the rest of these cards. Okay, Back to Basics is on top. I can hide it from a Thought-Knot Seer. So... Yeah, I'm gonna stack it like this. The awkward part is if I cast Thought-Knot Seer, I have to let it resolve, because if I plow it in response to the trigger, like I have to let the trigger resolve and take the removal spell. Because if I don't, then they just get to take the back to basics, because I'll draw it before their exile trigger resolves. That's what I was thinking about. Like, do I want to put back to basics 2 down, which makes me look like a genius if they cast exactly Thought-Knot Seer, and a huge idiot if they do anything else. Alright, they're up to 6 mana now. Karn the Great Creator. I think that's fine. I mean, I can't counter it, so of course it's fine. They might get Liquid Metal Coating right now and try to Rashadan port me. Ratchet Bomb. Okay. I can remove that before it kills back to basics, so we're good. I'm gonna get a white and a blue. Bang, race is on. Karn's kind of awkward because it can, like, just kill me. It's unlikely that it would beat down through everything I have, but if he just, like, makes his Manifold Key a creature a bunch of times, and, like, what I'm saying is if the battlefield doesn't change at all, my opponent is winning right now. But it's unlikely that the battlefield won't change at all. Like a Mentor just puts it away from this spot. Oh wow, the key comboing with Ratchet Bomb's kind of interesting. So they can put it on 2, untap it, put it on 3, but can't untap it a 3rd time to activate it. That's good. Teferi and another Council's Judgment. I do kind of want these. Just gotta hope they don't have the Warping Whale. Yeah, because of the Manifold Key, I don't have a turn to cast Teferi first. I guess I could have just cast Teferi and bounced Ratchet Bomb, which plays around Warping Whale. Maybe that was right. Okay. Survive that exchange. Though if I play Teferi and bounce the Ratchet Bomb, then they can attack Teferi and kill him with Manifold Key. It's not where I want to be. Alright, Ratchet Bomb's back. Okay. They have a basic land now. Alright, so I'm not going to bounce yet. Because I don't want this to die. They can go 1, 2, untap, 3. Yeah, they'd need another untap effect to pop it right away. Guess if they have a land, they could wish with Karn for Liquid Metal Coating and turn off Teferi for the turn. Karn shutting down Astrolabe is like weirdly relevant right now. Okay, so they have a 2/2 creature. Yep. That means it's not getting any counters though. Oh, 2 basics. I think I'm just gonna plus. Though now they can untap, make it 2 now, and then tap, make it 3, untap, pop. Yeah, I do actually have to bounce this now or I lose all my stuff. Manifold Key is a powerful Magic card, apparently. I like the Force of Wills. I hate everything else. Like, I like the first Force of Will, but there's no threat here. I need to end this game. All right, now I need a white land. Like, this is exactly the situation I described where jamming a Palace Jailer could just win the game. They have so much mana right now with the key. Yuck. I hope it's just some creature that I can plow. Or maybe it's just nothing. All right, come on, white land. I got business to attend to here. Is that a third Vesuva? Jesus. So close. This kills Karn though, so I'll take that. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we need... Oh, wait. This makes white now. Okay, so I can answer the Ratchet Bomb. I guess the question is... No. I just gotta answer Ratchet Bomb. There's no question. I was gonna say, like, if I take Key, then Ratchet Bomb is 2 turns away from being relevant, and I'll have Palace Jailer in play, drawing a bunch of cards by then. And they have 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana, even through Back to Basics right now. Yeah, just them having 3 Vesuvas was just blah. And Key is also doing a lot of work right now. Ugh. I need that white source. They got another Ratchet Bomb. Okay. The bombs keep on bombing. Snapcaster Mage, what do you do? You cast Wear Tear from the graveyard. I like that. Alright, I'll let them commit a little more. Like, I'll give them a turn with Karn. And then I can snap Wear Tear in their end step and then jam Palace Jailer and hopefully win somehow. They could also just go for Lattice here. I think they have the mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, they do. If they go for Lattice, I'm just going to Wear Tear the Ratchet Bomb, attack Karn. Okay, so cast Snapcaster. Target wear tear. Float red colorless. That resolves. I'm going to destroy Ratchet Bomb. Then I'm going to attack Karn. I'm trying to think of a card that punishes this line. It's basically like Gut Shot. Attack Karn the Great Creator. I guess if they have the third Karn, this could bury me. Alright, hope I'm not dead to third Karn. But I can pressure the third Karn, so they would have to like play Karn, get Ensnaring Bridge, also deploy Ensnaring Bridge. Alright, Spyglass. They're going to have to name some Planeswalker that's not in my hand, I think. Because, like, a Stone Rain here isn't even that important if they just name the Vista. Yeah, they just named a Planeswalker that's not in my hand. It's probably the right choice. Alright, we get to Brainstorm. Wow, okay. Good cards, good cards. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So I'm playing Mentor this turn. So if I put back Vista or Island Narset, I can play the Vista, cast the Mentor, draw Narset in my end step, and then fetch away the island I don't want. Then I don't have to worry about creatures anymore. And I can definitely just mash a Karn that would arrive. What is happening? Why is Magic Online being dumb? That was weird. I think the snowman, I just confused it. Alright, so I get to draw Narset. Then I can fetch away the island. They untap their Monolith. So I have Swords to Plowshares that will stop any Reality Smasher shenanigans. I can also plow an Ugin or a Ulamog if necessary. I can't beat Ugin. That would just ruin my day. This looks like Ulamog to me. Or Ballista for 5? Alright, no, it's Ulamog. Okay. So they have to target, I think, back to basics on one of my creatures. So how do I pace this out? If I plow my own Mentor, I get a token, but then they have their giant creature in play. All right, yeah, I just have to plow Ulamog. Which gains them 10 life, but at least I'm not dead. And Narset can try to find the other back to basics right now. I'm not sure why the snow mana confuses Magic Online. Back to basics. Yeah. Easy game. Back to Basics being out of play for a turn, even untap my Tundra. That was pretty cool. All right, let's hope they don't have another whammy like that. If I can abrade this freaking Manifold Key, I think we might be okay. The 3 Vesuvas and the Manifold Key are the only reason they're even still playing this game. They're at 26 though, so I'm going to need a Mentor to close this out. Oh, I love when they pass the turn with no plays. That's my favorite thing. Alright, we found a Force of Will. That should buy some time. We did just send a Mentor to the bottom though, which is a bummer. Alright, let's find a Braid off this trigger. No, alright. I'm ready to deal with every creature that could ever come my way. Another Ulamog would be tough, but they don't play a whole lot of those. I'm not going to play the second Jailer because there's no such thing as the double Monarch. Come on, a Braid. Yes. Alright, so what's your plan here? What is this? Oh, they're charging their Blast Zone. But why? Oh my god. This snowman tapping is driving me nuts. Alright, that Abrade was tight. Now they're super low on mana. That was their best source of mana that they had. They know about this Force of Will. Ballista for 1. I don't think I care about that. Just gonna plow it in the end step. I don't know what else they're planning to do with this. Sure, they'll just pop off the Snapcaster with it. Yep. Okie dokie. Cooking with gas. Gotta hope to draw a blue card with my Monarch though, because this Force is currently naked. Alright, we got there. Sure, you gain a bunch of life. Ooh, Sinkhole, that's good. That can kill a Karn if they draw another one. I guess maybe not if they plus it right away, but they'd have to minus it so it doesn't just die. Yeah, Sinkhole is a good draw. I think we should have this one under control from here. Though if they have some way to untap Blast Zone, I'm just dead. It'll clear Back to Basics and Mentor. But I don't know what they would have. Like, this deck doesn't play like Candelabra or like Deserted Temple. And I can force a Candelabra or whatever if they do have it. There are versions of this deck that play Candelabra. I just don't think we're playing against one of them. Alright, sweet. Now we can get this Mentor train rolling. Magic Online's being super laggy right now, so I can't tell like when my opponent is thinking or when I'm frozen. I think they're thinking right now. Thinking about conceding, I hope. All right, so I want the land. I don't need this other Palace Jailer. And can hide this plow for now. Jace does not activate. But he does trigger Mentor. And I have Force. So I'm just trying to get damage on the board right now. And we're drawing Swords to Plowshares. Thought Not Seer. This one's a little awkward because they probably just want to take the Force of Will, but I could all... So forcing it would be a 2-for-1, and letting them take the Force... They take Sinkhole. Okay, I'm glad they let me keep my Force. Oh wait, this Blast Zone is currently an artifact. So they could, in fact, blow me up at some point. Ooh, glad I noticed that now and not way later than now. So they could clear the back to basics on a clutch turn if they see the line. It's weird that hasn't happened yet. Yeah, there's no reason not to do that, I guess. Alright, so there is a way we could still lose this game, and it's that. They have to make their move this turn, though, because they're dead on board. And we just drew Snapcaster. That should be able to pressure them even through a Blast Zone. It's so weird that they haven't done this at all. They must just not see it. So end of turn, snap Brainstorm. Should make this super lethal. Or I could snap a Braid. Okay, they just scooped to that. That was a slug. And they could have been doing a lot of work with this combo. I think they just didn't see it. I didn't see it either, but it's their deck. But that was crazy and closer than I wanted it to be. But back to basics. That's why we play it. Sweet match. All right, so we're on the play here. I'm going to keep this. We got a Force in case they're a Chalice of the Void deck, and we have a ton of cantrips if they're not. All right, so I led on Astrolabe. That one gets the party started. All right, they're a Scalding Tarn deck. Could be Delver, could be Sneak and Show, could be Storm. got a Delver. I'd really like to find my second land so they don't know that they should daze this Brainstorm. Yeah, Force of Negation is going to be medium minus in this matchup. I would like to get rid of them. Oh, they're in the tank. This would be a hyper-aggressive daze. Jeez. Cannot force on this turn. Alright, I mean, rewarded. I don't think I would make that play against an opponent who kept 7 and just drew a card already. But, okay. Maybe they have multiple dazes. Like, their hand has to be really good or really bad to make that play. Like, it's so good they could just afford to eat a land drop, or so bad that they got to do whatever they can. Let's see, you got another one? Now this opens up Spell Pierce and everything. What a beating. Okay. Sometimes these things happen, though they are stupid. Hey, right on time. Sure. Yeah, the beats are coming now. So I guess now the question is, do I force their Brainstorm? I think I force pitching Force here, because that's not getting any better. They've also been playing this game real awkwardly. We can both play at this game. Wow, that was worth a Force of Will out of them. Okay. It's probably a deal. I'd rather them force to protect their Brainstorm than force the Swords to Plowshares that I'm 100% going to draw right now. Or land for Teferi that's going to resolve for sure. As I continue to narrate things that I would like to happen in Christmas Land, where I live. Alright, land. Jeez. We've drawn so many cards that are good in this matchup, except not if you can't cast them. They didn't even need to shuffle after that Brainstorm. They just like every card. And now we're at 6. That's a low life total. Alright, we're dead. I've seen enough. Ugh. Alright. So, Supreme Verdict, great. I like some number of Rest in Peace. They were smart to only show us 2 colors. So, Rest in Peace, if they are just Is It, Rest in Peace is not a good card. If they have Tarmogoyfs, it's a pretty good card. If they have like Tarmogoyf, Wrenn, and Gurmag Angler, it's a very good card. Alright, I'm bringing in a Braids and Pyroblast though. And probably also these Hydroblasts. Jailer. These are all options. Forces of Negation, our all-star from that match, will go out. Force of Will's out. Spell Pierce is pretty medium, especially when we're bringing in all these blasts. Back to basics can shut the door. I'm not sure if we want both or just the one that we already have. Jace is not very good against the Daze deck with Red Blast in it. Council's Judgment is important for True Name Nemesis. Teferi and Narset can both just shut down a game. And we're on the play, so I like them more than if we were on the draw, when they're definitely going to have a bunch of dazes. Go back to Shaving Astrolabe, because I'm not even sure the deck needs that card at all, but it's in here. I guess it came up in our last match pretty big. Alright, maybe one less Teferi. Narset is too good to cut, though. Teferi's kind of situational. I'm bringing in these Rest in Pieces. Maybe I should be looking at my Snapcasters and Sinkholes. Like, I could cut the Sinkholes. Though, if the game goes my way, we will get to 6 mana. 1 Sinkhole, 1 Snap cut. I could also just cut the other Sinkhole for another Back to Basics. Yeah, I think that's a good plan. Having all those graveyard cards with Rest in Pieces seems bad. Alright, this hand has 3 lands in it and reactive spells. I'm in. Alright, so I'm going to lead on Island. Because I'm not going to cast Swords to Plowshares this turn, because I'm not going to run it into a Daze. And I don't want to play Vista yet, because I only want to fetch Mountain if I haven't found an Astrolabe by turn 3. Because Pyroblast is mostly for True Name Nemesis. If they play a Delver, I'll just play my Plains, plow it right away, and I'll be playing around the Daze. And then if they spend some time rebuilding, we got the Supreme Verdict on lock. Yeah, like a 4th land and a threat will make this hand really good. And every time they pass the turn without a threat, our game gets better. Bolt my end step. Nope. Alright. They're not ready for blood. Okay, there are green lands in this deck. We thought there might be. They did not jam Wrenn in 6, so I'm happy about that. Teferi Time Raveler. Alright, I'm going to play my land here. So now I can get white-white if I want to, or... I already have white-white and blue. I don't need double blue. Other than Snapcaster, a blue spell, I don't think there are any double... and Narset. Narset and Snapcastering a blue spell are my double blue spells. I have a lot of double white spells in the deck right now, though. With Supreme Verdict and Council's Judgment and Palace Jailer. Alright, blue mana does not cast Wrenn in 6. This seems worth blasting. Just how slow they've come out of the gates here. And I have Supreme Verdict for a True Name Nemesis. So this is actually just fine. And if they want to fight over this, I can untap and slam Back to Basics. They were willing to Force of Will to Brainstorm last game. Let's see if we can get them again with that. I can pay for Spell Pierce. They could Blue Blast, I guess, but they would have... I don't know. I don't think I bring in Blue Blast against my deck. Alright, so they must also have a Daze, which is fine, because that's a 2-for-1 all day, every day. And it's 2 counterspells out of their hand, and I get to slam Back to Basics. Alright, you got it. That was a pretty good exchange. Got 2 cards out of their hand and Stone Rain them. So them having red up is a bit of a bummer. I guess the question is which of these is the test spell? Is Teferi or Back to Basics more important? I think I'm just going to brainstorm. They might Red Blast this if they have it. Alright, they did not Red Blast this. So I'm going to tuck back Mentor and Teferi. That was pretty awkward that we didn't find another land. So we're not hitting a land drop for a few turns. I chose to play Brainstorm to try to work around the... that's fine. Try to find an answer, like a counterspell for their answer to Teferi or Back to Basics. Alright. Spell Pierce stays this. Do it. Force of Will it. This is where the blue-white deck tends to just take over. Like, these sorts of exchanges, like, they just Force of Willed this card that I have another copy of. So that was a 2-for-1. Was mostly free. They showed me they have Force of Negation in their deck, too. Alright, I'm going to test with this Teferi. Yeah, I figured they would have an answer for this. Tarmogoyf just got pretty big, but that's fine. Hopefully they think the coast is clear and just jam more creatures this turn. But if they don't, I'll just plow this and get back to business of hitting my land drops and not dying. Great. Mentor. I'm going to cast this Mentor. This is another way to pressure reaction from them. Like, they have to force this. They don't have a different counterspell for it. They do have Lightning Bolt in their deck. Get a little value off of my Mentor while it's here. Try to get another counterspell out of their hand. Hopefully they're just going to brainstorm looking for an answer here and they don't just already have the answer. Vapor Snag. Okay. Deal. Alright, so their hand is Tarmogoyf and 2 unknowns. Ooh, just pass? Deal. I think it's time to slam Palace Jailer. Oh, he said oops. Okay. Ooh, they tapped out a red. Now's a good time to try to sneak this past a red blast. Cool. Alright, so they either were getting leveled or they didn't mean to pass their turn last turn. Alright, let's draw a land to play around Daze. Alright. I'm gonna Judgment this thing. Because the one I want most is Palace Jailer. Right, so the Daze there doesn't necessarily mean they have another one. It just means they want their red land untapped. So they could have Red Blast and just red land, blast back to basics, and they're back in the game. Yeah, that's as expected. That's pretty sweet. I'm going to ponder first. Okay, sweet. We just get to cast our whole hand right now. I'll get ahead of this rest in peace in case they have like Ren and 6. I don't want them to get any value. Or we've only seen Rug mana. I suspect that they are a Rug deck, but like if they were like Fetch Gurmag there, I would have felt pretty bad. All right, how many of these do I want? Just mono answers. I'll take another Plow. I don't think I want the Supreme Verdict, so I'll draw the fetch land next turn. I'm kind of being greedy with the Jailer. I think I could have slammed it at any time to start drawing extra cards, but I would really like it to eat a creature on the way in. Like, Tarmogoyf isn't even a creature right now, though. Alright, so their hand is either land, lightning bolt, or a counterspell. Like, those are the only things they would have kept in their hand. I'm not going to give them value off of a hard cast Force of Will. Like, I'm the control deck. I don't have to worry about pressuring them. Like, every turn that they're not deploying a threat, I win a little bit more. I have so many ways to break this stalemate. Like so. My clutch Snapcaster Mage. My Ambush Viper. And I joke, but Ambush Viper is actually going to be totally playable on this board. I'm going to attack, see what happens, and then go for the Jailer. Alright, don't force me. Nice. Alright. My greed was rewarded. I'm not even sure if it was greed as much as patience. Something was just rewarded. I'll let you decide what it is. I think from here it should just be a matter of taking my attack steps for a little while. Nice. The Great Savior. I don't need this, and Teferi is a hot one. I'll put this other Plow back. Like, I'm gonna be the Monarch still at the end of this turn, so I'm just gonna hold on to that. Like, I'll draw it. So I don't need to hurry up with this Plow. I can get a little extra information. I'm just going to do it now, actually, because they also get information. They get to look at their top card and then decide if they want it or not to fetch. Kind of a build your own opt. But I don't want them to have. I don't want the island on top of my deck, so I'll fetch that away. Fetch it straight into play, in fact. This card is really good if you've never played with it before. The Palace Jailer. Some decks just cannot beat it at all. So I'm going to bounce Astrolabe this turn with Teferi to draw a bunch of extra cards. Like, I'm not worried about them playing any cards that I would need to bounce with Teferi. I have so many answers in hand already. And bouncing Snapcaster doesn't do anything because I don't have a graveyard. So Astrolabe is the pick. Another Hydroblast. We're just piling those up. We get a Pyroblast to complete the set. Ooh. Ooh. Alright, I'm going to jam Mentor here. I have to Fairy and play 2 Hydroblasts and a Force. Like, I can pitch Supreme Verdict to the Force. Like, I imagine this will be enough. And if we get to their end step without them answering this stuff, they're just going to lose. Alright, there's the Wrenn and 6 and probably a concession incoming. Yep. Alright. Game 3. That worked out pretty well. The most awkward part was drawing the Snapcaster after we Rest in Peace. So I guess the question is there a better card than Snapcaster that we could bring in here? And Sinkhole is still castable in the late game, even without Rest in Peace. Or even with Rest in Peace, I mean. Astrolabe was also pretty good. Maybe I want that back in. Just 0 snaps. But if I go to 0 snaps, I think I want all 3 Rest in Pieces. I was like, that's an aggressive cut of one of my most powerful cards. Alright, so on the draw, I have a lot of blue 3-drops, which get hit by both Daze and Pyroblast. Maybe it's this last Force of Will. Then I'm on close to no counterspells, but that doesn't matter a whole lot. Like I want to beat this deck on board. If I'm able to slam a few Hateful Enchantments or Planeswalkers and a Supreme Verdict, that'll win this game just fine. Alright, this hand's a keeper. We have our 1 of Force of Will, so we're ready for anything. We are running into the somewhat frequent problem in mono basic deck lists where I would really like to play my land, brainstorm, and then fetch, but my fetch land is also my only blue source right now. So unless I draw a blue land, then that play is off the table this turn. But on the flip side, as long as we hit a land drop, it was a good turn. Like, we have so many hammers, like Back to Basics, Supreme Verdict, Monastery Mentor, all of which could win this game on their own. So we just gotta get to the point where we're at 3 and 4 mana and start throwing them onto the stack, and then we'll win. Is it Delver or Ponder? It's Delver, okay. Swords of Plowshares? Yeah. Never not. So Plowing Now opens up Force of Negation as a card they could cast. but passing the turn gives them Spell Pierce and Flusterstorm open. So it's definitely worth the 2-for-1 to throw the plow down there. Ren and 6. All right, all 6 of them. Gonna have to answer that one. Really like to hit my land drop here. All right. Should have been more specific, I guess. I could shove Mentor, but they're holding up days. Or they're always representing days, basically. I could also just jam the back to basics here. See what happens. Back to basics is a lot worse when they have Ren and 6, obviously. But I think I'm going to have to start casting spells. I could also just end step a Brainstorm. That's probably the best thing. Because I have a number of answers. I have Supreme, or Council's Judgments and Hydroblast for Ren. And I don't care until it emblems. Like, I can't actually beat the emblem. Nobody can. But them hitting their land drops doesn't really matter because my plan is to run them out of threats anyway. Alright, all kinds of stuff. So I can put back Tundra and Island because I have to draw these anyway, but I have my next 2 land drops on lock. I think I want to cast Mentor and hold up Brainstorm and Force of Will. That should pressure what they're up to. They don't have enough mana to hardcast Force yet. Okay. Got the 2-for-1. They have Force of Will over there. Force pitching Daze. Alright, glad I didn't jam Jailer. So I could force back, but that opens me up to so many stupid things that I don't want to have to play through. Next turn I can play Jailer through a Daze. Hopefully they play a creature that can go to jail this turn. Nope. Did not maximize value this time. Alright, I gotta get a threat into play because Ren is on 6 now. Have to deal some damage to it or kill it like in this next turn cycle, or they can emblem up. And then just go completely ham. Hope they don't play Vendilion Click. Yeah, Palace Jailer, dodging, Spell Pierce, Hydroblast, Pyroblast, Force of Negation, just all of those cards. It's just such a house. Absolute house. They did that with no target. Interesting. Alright, let's see if we can connect. Just a little breathing room would go a long way here. Nice. Okay. We can breathe. So I'm just going to hang back and draw cards now. Like, this is what I meant earlier, where, like, Ren is fine out of this deck until it emblems. Like, they've drawn, this thing starts at 3. It's basically, it's gone up 5 times. They've drawn 5 cards off this Ren, and they have no pressure, and my threat is just running unmolested here. think I just get the mountain. I don't see myself choking off a color anytime soon. Though Scalding Tarn can get the mountain too, so maybe I just keep getting islands. Yeah, I'll get another island for now. So their hand's gotta just be full of counter spells. Like, they wouldn't be sitting back on anything else this hard. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, so I can start testing them, or I can just pass. I think I'm just gonna pass and keep drawing cards. Like, Ren is whittling down over there. They haven't produced a threat. Really, I don't have a lot of great answers in my hand either, though, so we're kind of even. And the fact that they don't keep fetching tells me that they're holding at least one land in hand. All right, let's rip it up. Turn off any recursion in case they do draw Wasteland, because all of my non-basics are in play. This bricks Tarmogoyfs. I think this is a must counter in the matchup, unless they have Cinder Vines or something that can kill it. It's also white, which means it plays around the red blasts that we know they're sitting on over there. All right, I'm gonna push a little harder right now. Wow, I did not expect that to stick. All right, I'm not gonna play Teferi into a Daze though. All right, they're red blasting it now. Okay, that is the same thing, and I don't care. All right, Mentor, nice. So we fished out a red blast. Really, I'm just trying to maneuver the game to where I can stick to Fairy. Nice, another Rest in Peace. So I'm going to play Mentor first, and then play Rest in Peace, so I can get a trigger. This is something I would Force of Will to fight over. Probably. Or maybe I should have been using Teferis to test for... But I'm actually not going to fight over this. I'm pretty far ahead. We're about to stick Rest in Peace. Maybe I should have led on Rest in Peace to test it, or Teferi. Yeah. I just like that Mentor is white. And not blue. I guess Teferi is also white. Alright, so we've almost worked through this Ren, just attacking it 2 damage a turn. Just hit millions of land drops. And I'm going to try to go to Fairyville here. Yeah, they were always going to have the red blast for this. If they have another red blast, I'd prefer they counter this to Teferi. Alright, that got in. And Ren is going to die this turn. Their hands just got to be like lands and Ren and 6s. Alright. This is the second Ren is coming. That's what that means. This is not worth a counterspell. Like, they can kill my Jailer, that's fine. It's done its job, which is make me the monarch. And now we shove Teferi. There's nothing to bounce for value, and I'm not going to minus Teferi so it just dies to Ren. That's a bad deal. Just need to find one of our 2 remaining mentors and close this out. What is this? This is Cindervines. I might force it, because that card's really good against me. It also kills Rest in Peace, which I cannot abide by. What are they doing with their mana? I control Teferi, Time Raveler. All right. Yeah, we got him. Just that Ren and 6 went nowhere, and we just ground him into dust. That was sick. All right, we're on the play in round 5, playing for the 5-0. It's trophy time. Not with this hand, though. Plains does not cast Ponder. This one's a keep, though. Gonna keep this. I'm gonna bottom, I think, Snapcaster. That one has the most growing to do before it matters. Like, I'm not just gonna jam Snap on turn 3. Mostly I just have to hope they're a deck that Spell Pierce is good against. Alright. If this is Red Prison, Spell Pierce is pretty good. And the matchup is great. If it's Storm, I'm gonna kinda wish that I Spell Pierced that Chrome Mox. Like, the only decks that play Chrome Mox are Epic Storm and Red Prison. So we'll know everything we need to know in a second when a card appears in exile. Alright. Okay. I can theoretically defeat that card. Mono blue, let's go. Alright, so I'm glad I have these Spell Pierces. If they start casting Goblins, we could be in trouble. But if they cast, like, Trinispheres or some other crap, I don't care about that. This looks like a Chalice, yeah. So they can't pay unless they have Spirit Guide, but if they have Spirit Guide, I'll just Spell Pierce it again. Alright, how about a basic Plains or an Astrolabe right off the top? Alright, didn't find it right off the top, but maybe Brainstorm can save me. Alright, Force of Will is a big game. Still want Spell Pierce. So, this Volcanic Island can go back, and something else can go back. Like, I want to hit my land drop, but I want it specifically to be a Plains. Maybe I put Ponder back, and then just play Island and cast Ponder next turn for maximum card scene. Because we're not under any pressure now, and now that we have Force of Will also, I believe I would pitch the Teferi to Force if it came to that. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go to 15 here. I'm going to draw, cast Ponder, find everything I need perfectly. Pretty close. Jace is actually a really good card. So I'm going to draw the Flooded Strand and play it. And then next turn I can cast Jace. And the turn, and I could plus or Brainstorm with Jace. And the turn after that, I could bounce Magus of the Moon, fetch, and just be in business. Just gotta hope they cast like Chandra this turn and not, or we're in combat, so they're not gonna cast a Goblin this turn. And if they do, they just did it wrong. Ooh, they're playing around Snapcaster Mage. I'll take that. Please and thank you. Alright, so if they draw a Goblin, they can kill Jace if I Brainstorm. If I plus, they would need... There's not many things that can kill it if I plus. So I think I'm going to plus... My top card is Volcanic Island, which I don't really want. Though... So, the next turn... So they can attack Jace to 3. I bounce Magus of the Moon. Jace is at 2. Then I can Brainstorm fetch with full value. I think that's worth doing. Oh no. Alright, Chandra. That's about the best card they could ever have. They played around Spell Pierce anyway, so we're fine. Alright, we're taking 2 there. Chandra can't damage Jace anymore. She could back when she was in Standard, but they errated that. Doesn't work that way anymore. Sorry, Chandra. Alright, so I'm gonna brains... Oh, no, I could Brainstorm or I could bounce. If I bounce, I can cast actual Brainstorm and fetch a Plains. How about I just cast actual Brainstorm and then decide? Okay, put these 2 back, play my land, bounce. Now I'm totally set up on mana. And I have Snapcaster to deal with the Magus in the future anyway. And if they draw a Goblin this turn, I'm set for that too. Exiled a mountain, that's fine. I'm going to get Plains with both of these because I should have no problem finding red mana now that I have Jace active and they have a moon in play. I guess I could have snuck in a Snapcaster Brainstorm with value there. Alright, Magus. I'm going to Brainstorm with Snapcaster in this end step. I really want to start converting my cards into removing Chandra from the battlefield. I can put these 2 back. Or Spell Pierce does not make any sense at this point in the game. Alright, Council's Judgment. Bang, Chandra's out of here. I have the no value snap here to just ambush Viper a Magus. Just gotta hope to fade basically this draw step, and then Jace can take over. They're gonna attack Jace with both Magi. Target Force of Will. Maybe I can trick them into thinking I can do that. Alright, now my lands are free. Jace is active. We should be able to do this. Now you can have a Trinisphere at this point in the game. So now I just like plus until I'm happy. Most of their cards don't kill me, is the point here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, I have 6 lands in play. That's the right number to have when you're facing down a Trinisphere. Because, like, land 7 and 8 don't do anything. Alright, get rid of you, and get my last fetch of the game. Alright, now I have Force of Will, so they have to have multiple... Oh, no, double Force. Yeah, so they have to have multiple great things on top of their deck. I will bottom that, even though I don't really have to. I could just let them have it and force it, but I don't think they play any uncounterable spells that I would need to let them cast Chandra over. Alright, so Jace is at 10. I need two more activations, and I have 2 counter spells in hand to their nothing. I'm not going to show them this basic island. Or basic mountain, I mean. So their hand is Trinisphere and 2 unknowns. And they're dead. Yep, Jace just one-man army here, defeating Red Prison opponents. Alright, so Abrade, Wear Tear, Hydroblast, Celestial Purge, and options on Jailer. We'll think about that one. Alright, so all forces are in. Back to Basics is out. Sinkhole could be really important. Spell Pierce on the draw is probably going to be too late to do anything. I don't want Astrolabes against the deck that definitely has Chalice and might also have Karn. Though Astrolabe is a really nice workaround of Blood Moon, but my deck is full of basics anyway, so I can shave an Astrolabe. Teferi's kind of medium. Alright, I don't want 2 Jailers. I'm off that idea. Teferi's good if you need, like, 1 turn to breathe, like, just pump 1 thing out of play, crack 3 fetch lands, get your mana set up, and then it's back. But, like, Wear Tear does that same thing. Narset just pulls you way ahead. Maybe I'll cut a Sinkhole. Because Sinkhole will be too late to answer a Goblin. And I have Purge, 2 Judgments, and another Sinkhole to fight Chandra. And the 2 Hydroblasts. Yeah. I think that's a good plan. Alright, so we got Force of Will. Got all our colors on basic land. I'm going to keep. Opponent also kept. That's not the pressure point I'm going after here. Ooh, they pitched a Goblin, which must mean they have another threat. Yeah. So, I'm actually just going to let this resolve. They're going to get a 1-1, but I'm going to Hydroblast the Rabble Master. I'd rather answer everything 1 for 1 where I can. Oh, it's funny that Rabble Master, that this token just has haste in blue text there. I don't know why I think that's funny, but it is. Alright, so I can force pitching Narset if they do something I can't beat. I have Wear Tear for most normal things. Like, I don't care about a Chalice of the Void here or any kind of moon effect. I think I would force another Goblin. Ooh, they're going... Something big's coming. Thought Not Seer. Yeah, I'll force that one. Fine. I'm going to pitch Narset because Force of Will is my best card in this matchup. I need a blue card to go with it, but for now we're good. Alright, I'm going to get hyper aggro here. They only have one red source, and their other land is City of Traders. So, let's do that. Yeah, I think I can make... If we draw a blue spell, we just win. Okay, sweet. Now we can jam Mentor with Force backup. If they have anything, we're going to have a significantly bigger board than them. And if they have nothing, I cast Brainstorm and take this game over. I'm okay letting them have this 2-for-1. Like, it's a very good draw for them. But it's going to pull a card out of their hand. They're going to have 2 left, and I can force one of them. And they can't cast any 4-mana spells yet either. So, I'm just still in business. I was about to say Ponder would be my best draw, and there it is. Hydroblast would be a good one to find. Ooh, Palace Jailer and Swords to Plowshares. I'm going to keep these. Plow this, because that represents a lot of damage. Then we're holding Force. Palace Jailer is 2 cards away. And if things change that we don't want Palace Jailer anymore, I can just fetch. Huh, that's interesting. I think I just force this. Or I could Brainstorm in response. Yeah, I'm going to Brainstorm, get an extra monk. And then just let them have the Abrade. Alright, yeah. So, if I put these 2 back, I can hold up Force of Will again next turn. And still cast Ponder. Let this pressure Ponder. I do need to find a blue card. It might have been greedy to Ponder there instead of just holding my blue card, but I really want to keep this, push this advantage, keep this velocity going. Like, they spent an actual card in Abrade on my Mentor, which already left behind 3 other creatures. And that exchange is really good for me. And if I find my own Abrade, I'll just knock off this Chrome Mox. Okay, we found a blue card. No sweat. Never punished. That's my motto. I'm going to play Jailer next turn. Hopefully they play a creature I can eat with it. Like, if they just jam any goblin here, I'll take 1 from the token and then jail the Father Goblin. This should be easy to close out from here. All right, 1, 2, 3. We have lethal on board and Force of Will. Okay, so here goes 2 cards out of their hand. Fiery Confluence is the best card they could have. And they can't both have it and counterspell. Alright. You're dead. Alright, they're dead to any spell, which I happen to have 5-0 hype. Even have Snapcaster for Hydroblast, just in case. Alright, trophy hype. We did it. This deck is pretty sweet. I mean, we played against a number of good matchups, but the format's in a place where this deck just has a lot of good matchups. So, I like it. I'm into it. This may have got me off of 4-color Delver for Atlanta. I'll be playing either Delver or this deck. But I am into what this is doing. I love basic lands. I love their place in the format. And this deck, I was impressed. So thanks for watching. Trophy Hype. See you next time. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Bosch and Roll and smash that sub button if you enjoyed the content. See you next time.